key point and get everyone's thought about calling for sanctions against human rights abusers. Okay. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodian of the land where we gather today and pay my respect to their elders, past and present. Dear ladies and gentlemen, we have gathered here in Australia, Sydney, to discuss about calling for sanctions against human rights abusers. We have present here Uncle David Bell, Aboriginal elder and Indigenous community leader. We have Amnesty International representative Veronica Koeman. We have Asian Human Rights Commission representative Muhammad Ashrafuzzaman. We have Dr. Mahmudur Rahman, president of South Asian Policy Initiative and Global Voice for Humanity. We have many other distinguished guests, journalists, human rights activists, and political and community leaders. At the beginning, may I now call upon Mr. Uncle David Bell, Aboriginal elder and Indigenous community leader, Gangara traditional owner, member of Aboriginal Social Justice, Aboriginal Attorney General Committee, with the acknowledgement to the country and welcome to the country, and to deliver your speech, please. Let's begin.
Thank you. It's a great honour today. Just before we start, just to pay my respects to David Shoebridge, our Greens advocate here today, and everybody else from all over the country. One thing I wanted to say before I start my welcome acknowledgement is that the 26th of January is not a day of celebration of Australia Day. It's a day of genocide of what happened to our people in Australia. And if we don't start here, what's the use of having a voice from Australia with all the massacres and like David is always campaigning on our behalf. And, you know, like the atrocities that are happening here in Australia. In 1967, we weren't even a person of our own country. We were flora and fauna. You know, you can just having the deep entrenched of an Aboriginal person in this country. On behalf of everybody here today, the boundaries of our people, we ask permission to come to them boundaries. The boundaries that we are here today is the Darug, our surrounding areas, the Darwell, the Gunungara. Over the back here is the rivers. Our rivers are getting poisoned, ladies and gentlemen, by these big builders, mining companies. Our people walked these lands for 60,000 years. We traded, we shared stories, we put our handprints, we put our footprints into this land. We pay our respects to the north, which is the Bundjalung people, the Kambangi people, the Dunghutti people. We're coming down, we're all going on a journey of Kempsey, the Biripi people of Taree, the Awabakal people of Newcastle, the Wonnarua people, the Darkinjung people, the 29 clans of the Eora Nation, the Gamaringal, the Wongal, the Bidjigal. We pay our respects to the south, which is the Wadi people, the Wadi and Wandian people, the Yuin people, the Black Duck people. We pay our respects to the west, which is the Ngunnawal people, the Ngambria people of Canberra. We pay our respects to the Wiradjuri people, the Kamilaroi people, the Waywin people, and as far as Yorta Yorta. On behalf of elders, past and present and emerging, welcome, Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Uncle David Bell. They have told me to actually come to this side so that camera can cover me. Is that fine now? It's looking better? Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to invite our global president, Dr. Mahmudur Rahman, an academic, author, former chairman of the National Investment Board of Bangladesh, and former energy advisor of the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. He has been currently in exile, and he will be joining us from Istanbul. He was imprisoned, he was tortured, and now away from his home. So please welcome Dr. Mahmudur Rahman.
Thank you, Mr. Sohail. Uncle David Bell, Aboriginal elder and indigenous community leader, Veronica Coman from Amnesty International, Muhammad Ashraf-Zaman from Asian Human Rights Commission, Shibli Sohail, academic and secretary, South Asian Policy Initiative and Global Voice for Humanity, members of the victim families of fascist Bangladesh regime, representatives of the victim communities in other countries, ladies and gentlemen. I feel honored to get the opportunity to share my thought on this day of observance of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I express my deepest sympathy to all the victims of persecution by authoritarian regimes around the world. Unfortunately, with the rise of autocratic rulers in many countries in recent times, there has been a sustained assault on the concept of equality and fundamental rights. According to various contemporary studies, there has been substantial decline in democracy. Recent data suggests that democratic rights of more than 1 billion people in the world have plummeted in only 5 years between 2017 and 2022. Bangladesh is one of the countries where an evil dictator has usurped power and systematically destroyed all democratic institutions since 2009. Bangladesh is currently ruled by a fascist and kleptocratic regime under Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. The country is no better than a personal fiefdom of the ruling family. The government has completely choked free media and civil society by the promulgation of draconian laws. They do not allow any space for opposition political parties. The judiciary is completely dysfunctional that blindly follows the instruction of the ruthless Prime Minister. During the 14 years of an authoritarian rule, the entire police force in Bangladesh has become the largest and the most barbarous criminal gang in the country. They abduct, torture, extort, and kill at will. This gang of criminals have killed tens of thousands of political activists, media personnel, human rights activists, and common citizens through extrajudicial execution and enforced disappearance. The government has created a monstrous killing machine in the name of Rapid Action Battalion, RAB, within the police force. On December 10, 2021, the US government imposed sanctions on the Rapid Action Battalion and 7 of its current and former officials for their involvement in gross human rights abuse, including abduction and murder. Bangladesh responded to the sanction like a rogue state by continuing its persecution against all forms of dissent. Unfortunately, no other Western democratic nation, including Australia, followed Washington to censor the fascist regime in Dhaka. However, on 6 December 2022, this year, few days back, 15 foreign missions in Bangladesh, led by the USA, has given a statement reaffirming the importance of adhering commitment to peaceful assembly and free, fair, inclusive electoral processes in the spirit of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Australian ambassador is also a signatory in the statement. On the same day, in a reply to a question, Ted Price, the US State Department spokesperson, said in Washington about Bangladesh, quote, "We are concerned about reports of intimidation and political violence in Bangladesh. We call on the government to respect and to protect the fundamental freedoms of expressions, association, and peaceful assembly. We are also concerned about reports of police harassment, arrests of opposition party members, and restrictions on the ability of the opposition parties to meet and to hold peaceful rallies," unquote. In response to the joint statement of 15 democratic nations and the comment made by the US State Department spokesperson, the police in Bangladesh unleashed a reign of terror on 7 December onward against a peaceful assembly organized by Bangladesh Nationalist Party, the largest opposition political party in the country. They indiscriminately opened fire, killing one innocent bystander and injured dozens of opposition activists very seriously. Thugs of the ruling party also took part in the operation with illegal and lethal firearms. The police arrested more than 300 workers and leaders of BNP, including the Secretary General of the party, in a single operation. They have even sealed the central office of the political party. On the same afternoon, Gene Lewis, the United Nations resident coordinator in Bangladesh, said in a statement on the occasion of Human Rights Day, quote, "As Bangladesh is coming closer to its national election next year, we remind Bangladesh of its commitments as a UN member state to free expression, media freedom, and peaceful assembly, among others, written in the declaration," unquote. American Ambassador Peter Haas has expressed condolence for the victims of police atrocities on 8 December 2022. He said, quote, "The US Embassy extends its condolences to the families of those killed and injured yesterday in Dhaka. We are concerned about reports of intimidation and political violence in Dhaka and call on everyone to respect the rule of law and to refrain from violence, harassment, and intimidation. We encourage government authorities to investigate these reports of violence and to protect the fundamental freedoms of expression, association, and peaceful assembly," unquote. These statements matters little to the prevailing situation of state terror in Bangladesh under a brutal ruler. The current regime has conducted 2 farcical elections in 2014 and 2018 to prolong its demonic reign. In 2014, it was a single-party election when all opposition parties boycotted the election, and in 2018, the police stuffed the ballot boxes in favor of the ruling party a night before the election. Japanese ambassador to Bangladesh, Ito Naoki, said in Dhaka recently that his embassy staff heard about ballot box stuffing by police overnight before the polling began in 2018. That happened nowhere in the world except Bangladesh. He also expressed his hope that there would be no ballot box stuffing by the government in the next election. But what we have seen during the last couple of days, we can easily understand what is going to happen again next year in the name of farcical election. Ladies and gentlemen, Bangladesh enjoyed a period of democracy from 1991 to 2006. The people of the country have been struggling to obtain its right for the last 14 years in the face of relentless oppression by the most ruthless dictator the country has ever seen. Immediately after the latest police operation, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina herself has publicly threatened to break bones and burn the anti-government protesters. We need your sincere support in our peaceful movement to restore democracy and human rights in Bangladesh. Our slogan of today is fascism never again, and to sanction Sheikh Hasina and her death squad. We appeal to the government of Australia to unequivocally condemn all violence of state apparatus in Bangladesh and follow Washington to impose immediate sanction against perpetrators of worst kind of human rights abuse. The people of Bangladesh deserve the support of the international community in their democratic struggle against the fascist regime. I would conclude the speech by thanking the organizers of this seminar and all the eminent persons and human rights activists who have kindly graced the event by their kind participation. Ladies and gentlemen, I fervently appeal to you. We need your support. Please stand by the people of Bangladesh under tremendous persecution of a ruthless and barbaric regime. Thank you for your patient hearing.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Mahmudur Rahman. Ladies and gentlemen, it's really great to see that people are joining us from overseas, and very nice sound system, very well organized. I couldn't thank you more, Brother Robin, Brother Labu, Brother Mustafa, as well as Arif, Habibur Rahman, Rahat Shantanu, and definitely Mr. Abdullah Yusuf Shamim. Couldn't thank you more for organizing this so nicely. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator David Shoebridge, who has always been our voice in the Senate, in the federal parliament. He wanted to actually listen to the other communities. I mean, we have Tamil communities, we have Pakistani communities, we have Indian communities present here. We have human rights organizations present here. He wanted to listen to you, but due to his busy schedule, he needs to leave a bit early. So now I would like to invite Senator David Shoebridge, Senator of Australia, to deliver his few words. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Shibli. I might just briefly stand. Thanks, Uncle Dave, for the welcome to country. And I too acknowledge we're on Darug land and pay our collective respects to elders past, present and emerging. This land always was and always will be First Nations land. And we're here gathering together on International Human Rights Day. And we should acknowledge in this country, on this continent, the most pressing human rights issues are about ensuring First Nations peoples have treaty, have truth, have justice, have land. And we should commit to work together side by side with First Nations peoples to deliver on that promise. Thank you very much for the welcome and acknowledgement. So I think, first of all, I want to acknowledge all of the dignitaries that are gathered around here, people I know who spend their life, their time fighting for human rights. And I acknowledge the collective power that is around the table when we come together to commit to human rights, and the dignitaries that have joined us online. I'm fortunate to be the justice spokesperson for the Greens party, my party, in the federal Senate. And on Human Rights Day, I can't think of a better time to come together to highlight the desperate need to respect human rights in Bangladesh. What we've seen just in the last week, yet more violence unleashed by the government and mobs associated with the government. We've seen a further slipping into authoritarian, brutal rule in Bangladesh. And thankfully, we've seen some governments stepping up and calling it out. Some 14 diplomatic representatives within Bangladesh made a united statement against the violence and calling for an end to violence. We've seen the United States step up and make a very clear statement against the violence. But I've got to say, I've been deeply disappointed by our government, the Australian government's silence on the matter. We had the Foreign Affairs Minister announce sanctions against 2 countries today, Russia and Iran, but missed a very critical opportunity to extend those sanctions against Bangladesh as well. And I'll speak to that very briefly in a bit. I know because I've been working with the Bangladeshi community here. I know about the violence of some of the state-sanctioned organisations, the behaviour of the Rapid Action Battalion, the extrajudicial killings and the disappearances and the murders, more than 600 political disappearances and murders within Bangladesh. And I was heartened by the US extending Magnitsky sanctions against the Rapid Action Battalion and key leaders in that, who have now actually, many of them, been promoted into other positions since being sanctioned by the United States in a sign of international disdain and arrogance from the Bangladeshi government. And I think that was an important step, what the Biden administration did, and I give them credit for that. But we've just in the last week, we've seen yet more revelations about the complicity of Western governments with the Rapid Action Battalion. We've seen Al Jazeera expose the fact that the UK has been training and resourcing the Rapid Action Battalion, and as recently as this year, providing assistance to an organisation that is a notorious human rights abuser in Bangladesh. And we've seen further evidence of other European governments providing assistance too. Surely what we've seen in the last week, the additional violence, and I've got to say, the opposition and the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people in Bangladesh who have been rallying in the last 24 hours demanding human rights. Surely now is a time for the rest of the world to step up and for the rest of the world to step up and make a series of key demands. First, there must be free and fair elections called as early as possible in the next year, within the next year. Free and fair. Secondly, we need to unite to put Magnitsky-style sanctions on the critical leadership of Bangladesh, and particularly those who are complicit within the Rapid Action Battalion. That should be taken for granted. Because my real fear is, with US putting sanctions on and other countries hopefully moving, my fear is, though, that some of these officials may seek to put their assets in Australia, assets stolen from the Bangladeshi people, or may seek to come and have refuge for them and their families in Australia and avoid the sanctions that have been imposed in the rest of the world. The Australian government must step up and extend Magnitsky-style sanctions against the critical leadership of Bangladesh, and especially the Rapid Action Battalion. But I also want to acknowledge that the violence that's happening in Bangladesh reaches into your community and our community here. And I know many of you are anxious about family and friends and colleagues in Bangladesh facing the very reality of political violence. And I acknowledge that political leaders, many of them, as we've seen today, have had to find refuge in other countries because it's simply not safe to challenge the government in Bangladesh. But just yesterday, I met with other representatives from the Bangladeshi community. And one of those, a gentleman, was in deep grief, because his brother's home was broken into and invaded by government thugs and violence, sanctioned by the police, and he was killed just in the last 48 hours. And his other brother was taken by police and arrested and has been disappeared. This isn't an abstract thing for us in Australia. The violence that's happening in Bangladesh, the political violence that's happening in Bangladesh, reaches into our communities as well. And that's why I believe our government, your government, has an obligation to stand beside you. And I can tell you now, I will work with my colleagues in the federal parliament. I'll work with other political players in the federal parliament to continue to demand more of our government to act, to put in place the sanctions, make the calls for free and fair elections, and do what we can to work with all of the groups I see around this table to promote the human rights globally and including in Bangladesh. I will be able to say for a little bit longer, I I acknowledge, as I said at the beginning, the expertise and the experience around this table. And I give you this commitment to continue working with you on this, to raise the issue in the federal parliament, and to see Bangladesh live up to the promise that we know it really has, the promise that will be fulfilled when it gets free, fair, and democratic elections, and when the violence and the political violence is stopped, and the global community has a role in helping the people of Bangladesh get to that. So on this Human Rights Day, thank you to Shibli and others for pulling together this roundtable. And let's work out how we can work together over the next 12 months to make this happen. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator, for your valuable speech. And we strongly believe that you and together, we all together can continue to work and put pressure on Australian government to use of Magnitsky Act, Global Magnitsky Act, and also put in place the sanction. Now, we would like to listen to Mohammad Ashrafuzzaman, Liaison Officer, Asian Human Rights Commission. And before I go to Mohammad Ashrafuzzaman, I just would like to put another question for him, which is like, yes, despite US sanction, how come two of the European countries recently, Netherlands and another one, is still providing some sort of cybersecurity training to that Rapid Action Battalion? So my question is to all of you, and also Amnesty International representative, is sanction working? Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a listen to Mohammad Ashrafuzzaman from Human Rights Commission, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shibli Abdullah. And I'm very much thankful to the South Asian Policy Initiative and the Global Voice for Human Rights, and all of you who have worked very hard to host this program and having me. And I was very much inspired to listen to Uncle David Bell. It's very inspiring. I thank you so much for that. And please, let me tell you through you to the entire community of the First Nation that we share the spirit, the same spirit, and we have the same compassion for all of you. Now, and I also enjoyed listening to Honorable David Shoebridge, the Senator of Federal Parliament of Australia. And definitely there will be more opportunities for us to work together in future. I'm not sure how long he would have time to stay with us today in this meeting. But I hope that opportunity will permit us to work together. Now, of course, the question that Mr. Shibli has asked regarding the kind of facilities being provided by some of the European democratic nations, despite the sanction designated by United States on Rapid Action Battalion, which is one of the key perpetrating agencies in Bangladesh who have been consistently committing gross human rights violations in the country. And when I talk about the gross human rights violation, I must also let you know what we are talking about. Very simple is the most conservative figure that has been documented by our human rights defenders, that 623 people have been victims of enforced disappearances under this regime since Sheikh Hasina assumed to the office in January 2009 till June 2022. Then 2,658 people, they have been extrajudicially killed by the state's agencies during the same period, meaning January 2009 to June 2022. And Asian Human Rights Commission has officially published this data in its website. Anyone who wants to check the names of all the enforced disappearances victims are already published, and the figures regarding extrajudicial killings are also available with us. Now, what happens to to these victims in Bangladesh? Anyone will be asking, living in a developed democratic jurisdiction, that keeping it in mind that there are criminal justice institutions in place. There are police stations, there are crime investigation department, there are the judiciary and different tiers of judiciary, from the magistrates court to the Supreme Court, and Bangladesh being a common law country like Australia. So we know, we may have a notion that, okay, if anybody goes and registers a complaint, then they must be getting justice. Please allow me to tell you that this is not the reality in the case of Bangladesh. Here, the victims of gross human rights abuses, their complaints are consistently and very systematically refused by the police. Whenever a victim mentions that such and such force like Rapid Action Battalion or the detective branch of the police or any other unit of all the intelligence agencies like DGFI, one of the notorious agencies of the country, is Directorate General of Forces Intelligence. It works under the armed forces of the country. So if they abduct people from their home or workplace or from the street, and the witnesses are seeing that, who are the people at picking up these victims, and whenever that complaint is attempted to be made with the police, the first thing they do is refuse it. Then when you try more, then they come up with condition that, okay, if you remove the name of the law enforcement agencies or the individual officers or the entities, and if you remove the term abduction by the law enforcement agencies, if you remove the term enforced disappearances and replace the word enforced disappearances with kidnapping by unknown people, then we may consider registering a general diary entry, not a complaint. So anyone who has the common law, the legal procedural understanding will know that general diary is not a formal complaint. It's one of the very primary stage of reporting to the police. So in that context, now there is other challenges for the victims, that no lawyer actually dares to assist a victim or the family to register a complaint. If you want to register it with the magistrate's court, there is an option in the Code of Criminal Procedure, and that is also not possible because lawyers are also intimidated, highly panicked of consequences of the regime. Then the third option left is habeas corpus, going to the High Court. And so far, over a dozen victims, they had the ability financially to bear the huge expenditure to register a habeas corpus petition with the High Court. I am saying it on record. Anybody of Bangladesh officials, even because this is public, I know that if they think that this is not true, they must come up with an official record. If any High Court bench has ever ordered the government that bring the body before this court. Since 2009 to today, December 10, 2022, not a single instance in Bangladesh is available that when the High Court or any judiciary has ordered the government that the person who has been abducted and disappeared according to this petition, bring the body before this judiciary. So in that context, we see how denial of access to justice works in Bangladesh. And then comes the point that whether sanction is necessary or not. So when we see that there is no resort to go within the domestic system, everything is exhausted and it's very systemic. I'm not, due to time concern, I cannot tell you how surveillance is in place. against the victims and the human rights defenders. What kind of reprisals that the victims and the human rights defenders are facing? My colleagues are facing prosecutions there for documenting human rights abuses cases. So in the given situation, the sanction instrument, the appropriate exercise of that in all jurisdictions, including Australia, that may give hope to the victims and the human rights defenders, all the dissidents who are struggling to liberate themselves, liberate the people of Bangladesh from a fascist and kleptocrat regime. Now, very quickly responding to the question that it is extremely disappointing to see that United Kingdom in the month of October 2022 has provided training to the Bangladeshi perpetrating agencies. Despite their strong ally, United States designated sanction at least 10 months before that incident when they were doing so. So this is not only hypocrisy, this is also cheating the citizens of UK, that when they talk about democracy, when they talk about justice, when they talk about rule of law, and they don't follow that. They basically are cheating their own citizens and wasting the money of the British taxpayers for the human rights abusing perpetrating agency. So I would stop here right now, and if you have any questions later, we may address to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Muhammad Ashrafuzzaman from Asian Human Rights Commission. He was speaking from Hong Kong. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some refreshments here at the corner, so feel free to have a cup of tea or some of the snacks that we have arranged here. And also our president, Dr. Mahmudur Rahman's speech, we have placed on your table a copy of his speech so that you can actually have a look when you get time. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to call upon Veronica Koeman, Pacific and Southeast Asian campaigner from Amnesty International. Ms. Veronica Koeman.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for inviting me. Such an honor to be with you all again. And I first want to thank Uncle David for his speech, because it reminds me how, sometimes when I, especially working at Amnesty, every day there are outrageous incidents, outrageous human rights violations happening everywhere, including just yesterday, Amnesty did publish a press release about how in Bangladesh, at least 1,400 people been arrested since the 7th. And I was gonna say that Uncle David's speech reminded me how actually one of the worst human rights abuses, violation ever happened in this world actually happened in this land, on this stolen land where we are all right now. One of the worst, and it has not stopped. It's still ongoing. And because we all come with our different struggles from different communities, and I come from Indonesia, but if we do have one thing that can unify us, at least one thing is that our fight for First Nations justice should be one that can unify us all, because we are all standing on stolen land. And with that regard, I'm going to my presentation today. I'd like to divide it into two parts. The first part is about the theoretical bit. So Amnesty International only supports multilateral sanctions. So why? It's because sanctions is very political. It's very political decision. And because if we're not careful, this is because because it is a political decision that Amnesty as a human rights organization has to be independent and impartial in not siding with any political whatever baggage, political baggage that might come with the sanctions. For example, this is a parallel example, like how the International Criminal Court, the ICC, has been only targeting and prosecuting people from third world countries, from the Africa, most of them. But while we know that there are war criminals who are in the US, people in the US, people in the Europe, but they're untouchable. And you see, if we apply sanctions, we are back now to sanctions, it's almost always be the powerful states sanctioning states less powerful. So like, that's why, that's the logic behind how Amnesty can only support multilateral sanctions. By multilateral sanction, it means sanctions that been decided by the UN Security Council. So there's like proper mechanism. Well, the UN Security Council arguably is also very, superpower countries, but at least that's the based on UN Charter, the system. And another multilateral example is like by the European Unions. So basically more than one country. So for example, again, Amnesty International has condemned us, the US, to lift its sanctions against Cuba because we believe that it's been misused. So to answer the question earlier about the sanction work, yes, it is a very powerful tool. It is very powerful that we must be careful with it. I mean, I'm not talking, I'm just talking in general sense. It can be very, and Amnesty can only support sanctions that either prevent or end grave human rights abuses. And also that only in the event that the damage to the vulnerable group not likely to be disproportionate to the good they might that the sanctions might result in. So there are many types of sanctions. There's trade sanctions, meaning that like ban on import or export from certain countries. Or there's a financial sanction, meaning like blocking, freezing financial assets transfer, and so on and so forth. And also there's travel sanction, meaning certain people are banned from traveling to somewhere else or cannot go outside. There's also military sanction, meaning arms embargo. So like states that produce arms weaponry decide to embargo, basically, to send any more weaponries to these human rights abuses. There's also diplomatic sanction, say like visas being revoked and not being able to, yeah, it's pretty clear, sorry. And there's cultural sanction. For example, like, the most recent one is when the opera singer from Russia is being like, now people want to ban the, sharing their culture overseas, the from that human rights abuses home country. So yeah, that's pretty much the short summary of sanctions under international law in short, theoretically speaking. And now I'll continue of what Senator David spoke earlier about how Penny Wong, our foreign minister, put sanction on Iran and Russia. And she also announced that there will be human rights ambassador. So I think this is an opportunity for the communities here to approach the foreign minister from early stage, like where will the grievances of South Asian communities being heard, and like work towards, like, for example, could be Australia starts initiate well, because technically I cannot say that I can support, just bilateral sanctions. So multilateral sanctions to initiate the process, and because what would it take to finally to be able to get sanction being issued? Like, because let's say like if in Iran, like thousands been arrested, hundreds being killed, and arguably that's also been happening in like Bangladesh, for example, only that not in like abruptly at one time in 2 months, but like uh, but it's the so many people have been killed. Can it not trigger the same treatment, right? And also yeah, so in the end yeah, because I live in exile here from Indonesia, and like as someone from Southeast Asia country, I can very empathize with you about how our struggle for democracy and so much human rights abuse is happening in our region. I can totally empathize with that. And so my solidarity to all of you, all your communities, and especially towards the people from Kashmir, because the most alarming bit is when there's blackout of internet, not just internet, but also all kind of communication. So like, what's going on? And that is really, I think, that one of the most, I find the most disturbing part of what's happening in South Asia. So yeah, my solidarity to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Veronica Coleman from Amnesty International. Ladies and gentlemen, we have along with us Renuga Makumar from Tamil community. We have Ambassador for Peace Ziad Al Daud, senior journalist Syed Atikul Hassan. We have Hanif Bismi, editor 5 News Australia. We have James Supple, a Refugee Action Coalition representative, Muhammad Rauf from Arakan Rohingya community, and many more people. So we would like to actually share thoughts with each other today and get your valuable input to move forward. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to request you at this moment so that actually we can allow and then listen to everybody's valuable input. We will now, maintain time and try to keep our speech as brief as possible, maximum 4 minutes. Rahat Shantanu, the singer, his name is Jonathan Kobiel, means poet of the people, his name. He will be maintaining he will keep an eye on the watch and will help you to maintain the time. He will show you like 1 minute left or time is up. Is that fine, everybody? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. May I now call upon Editor-in-Chief of Australasian Muslim Times, one of the most senior community leader from Pakistan community and Muslim community, Mr. Zia Ahmed. Mr. Zia Ahmed.
Do you have to stand or I can sit? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulil Amin. I wish to greet you all with the Islamic greetings of Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. First, before I start, I wish to acknowledge the original inhabitants of this land, the First Nations people, and pay my respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Thank you. Also, I wish to commend the South Asian Policy Initiative for gathering such a diverse group of people on this particular day of Human Rights Day. And it's really good to have a great initiative where we should continue this in future as well. Now, I think Senator Shoebridge has actually summarized what we all had to say very eloquently. I just want to point out a few more things in addition. The Labour Party had promised regarding taking human rights issues seriously. And I think we have seen some initiative which has been taken today by the Foreign Minister Penny Wong by putting some sanctions or using the Magnitsky Act in practice, at least on two nations at the moment, Russia and Iran. Well, that is well and good. But I think at the same time, we need to point out that these two countries have been selectively taken on a more on an ideological basis, basically towing the line of US. I believe that Australia should have an independent policy rather than following whatever the US is doing and taking a balanced approach in terms of human rights. And you very well said that there are double standards when we are talking about human rights in some countries. Australia takes some initiative on that. On the other hand, we ignore the human rights abuses which have been happening for many years, and we tend to ignore it. So I think that we should not have double standards, and Australia should have a very independent policy on treating all human rights abusers and taking action against them. Also, I wish to say that, taking some examples there, we have got the state of Israel is abusing people in Palestine. And of course, you mentioned very well that regarding what's happening in Kashmir. For the last, 3 years now, this has been like a sort of a lockdown in Kashmir. And the military has been oppressing people for a number of years. But because of these trade with the Hindu nationalist government in India, with their basically trade interest, the Australian government has not made any noise or any complaints regarding what is happening in Kashmir, and also the large minority of Muslims in India. And the Prime Minister of India, Modi, he is coming next year here, and I think that that will really bolster the Hindu nationalist elements in Australia. And I think that we need to warn the government of what will happen in that regard. As a senator, I think that's something we need to worry about. Now, of course, as far as Bangladesh is concerned, I've been writing in Amos newspaper about what's happening in Bangladesh. There have been, this facade of elections, which have been boycotted by the opposition. And we have seen basically it's just a one party dictatorship, which is happening in Bangladesh. And there have been a lot of disappearances and all that. And then recently, yesterday, there were arrests of 500 people from the opposition party. So these are concerns that we need to raise. And living in Australia with some freedoms here, I think that is about time that we raise these voices. And thank you again to the South Asian Policy Initiative to gather such a diverse group of people to meet together and share ideas on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Zia Ahmed. Thank you for your valuable input. And inshallah, I believe we can work together for this particular cause. Dear ladies and gentlemen, you probably can remember a very powerful speech on 30th of August 2022 at Martin Place from Renuga Intmakumar. May I now call upon Renuga Intmakumar, the Tamil community leader who has been fighting for human rights and rights for Tamil people in Sri Lanka, to say a few words on this occasion, please.
Vanakkam, good evening. Before I begin my speech, I'll start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land that I'm on. This is stolen Aboriginal land. Sovereignty was never ceded and always was and always will be Aboriginal land. We pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and recognize that Australia was founded on the genocide and dispossession of First Nations people. I'd also like to acknowledge and have a moment of silence for all Elam Tamils who have fought for freedom, who have been killed by the Sri Lankan regime, those who aided the Sri Lankan regime and traitors, and the many refugees who died trying to seek safety from their terror. Thank you. December 10th, today, Elam Tamil mothers and widows are protesting in Tamil Elam, being the northern and eastern districts of Sri Lanka. Mothers and widows of these protests are demanding the justice of their enforced disappeared loved ones that were stripped from them in 2009. 2009 being the peak of the genocide that caused the world leaders to fall silent and watch on as our people got raped, bombed, massacred, and killed due to their identity of being an Elam Tamil. We hold the highest enforced disappeared numbers in the world, yet are left on the sideline when it comes to these issues. We hold the highest enforced disappeared numbers, and the mothers and widows have been protesting for 2,000 days and more, counting today. Those responsible for abusing the Elam Tamil human rights range from the Sri Lankan state to the international states that stood by watching on from 1948 The International Truth Justice Project provided the information that torture and sexual violence have been ingrained in the Sri Lankan security system, in part because they are reinforced by decades of impunity for perpetrators who now sit in senior positions in the police, army, and intelligence services. The Sri Lankan state have continuously used the forms of torture and extreme forms of discrimination to silence Elam Tamils on their own land. The report examines an individual who was tortured during the period of 2009. He was beaten with a range of implements, slapped, including on the ears until they bled, subjected to phallica, cigarette burns, his head put in a petrol bag, and then submerged in water. A victim of multiple detentions and bouts of torture carries a range of physical scars from different periods, which have caused him lasting physical damage as well as a traumatic mental impact. In our own land, we were forced into camps that held 300,000 and ongoing, and it was the largest camp in the world. The largest camp in our own land, forced away from our homes. Australia in 2009 watched on as many of our brothers and sisters were massacred. Even in 2009, we got reports of one day in May of being more than 100 civilians, including children, medical staff, a voluntary doctor, and a Red Cross worker, were killed in Sri Lankan artillery attack that targeted a makeshift hospital for the second time in 24 hours. Australia has continued to be silent and not use the right terminology, leaving us Elam Tamils spending to try and gain a form of justice for our brothers and sisters. Since 2009, even the Australian government has not provided the adequate support for refugees fleeing from their own homeland. We are urging the Australian government to provide all refugees with permanent protection. There are children who are not allowed to study and fulfill their passions in life, leaving many to experience mental health issues. The government has been silent on countless atrocities that have occurred globally, such as the genocide in Mullawaikaul in 2009. The bilateral relations between Australia and Sri Lanka have become stronger as the years go on, stronger in creating a constant barrier between justice and the Elam Tamils. We watch on as mothers die. We watch on as tortures survive, but still die due to suicide. We watch on as refugees are deported back to danger while those in power continue to smile and enjoy their racist laws being spread throughout the world, contaminating our innocent victims, contaminating our innocent individuals with a constant form of arbitrary power to continue to silence us with the use of weaponry, with the use of legislations, with the use of torture. The use of extreme power on those that are vulnerable have left us to wonder if there is a form of justice. Those in power should be held accountable for their ongoing crimes committed against innocent individuals. We as Elam Tamils are told from our Tamil Elam leader that a people that arise united around the aim cannot be oppressed by any force. I am in this roundtable discussion with the fellow community leaders from diverse backgrounds to call out an action to urge there be an accountability for the international states for ongoing genocidal crimes, for ongoing torture, for ongoing harm towards refugees to be tried for their legal acts to take universal rights for communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Renuga Itmakumbar. May I now call upon Mr. Farid Ghalib, a Senior Research Officer at Human Rights Center and Community Liaison Officer, Refugee Advice and Casework Services, RACS. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum and namaste, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you everyone for attending this event. As a refugee and immigrant, I would like to begin by paying my gratitude to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people for allowing me to seek protection on their land to enjoy my fundamental human rights and freedom. I acknowledge that this land on which all of us are gathering today was colonized by the British colonialism. Sovereignty was never ceded. It always was and always will be Aboriginal land. I strongly support the Indigenous voice to Parliament and Aboriginal land rights. I also want to say thank you to the people, to Global Voice for Humanity and South Asia Policy Initiative for organizing and taking this initiative to celebrate this Momentum Day. 74 years ago on this day, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was ratified to ensure and to guarantee that human rights will be respected by the governments and all the powers. Unfortunately, today, after 74 years, we are seeing the rise of totalitarian and dictatorship. We see the rise of, we see the war in Ukraine, the violation of human rights in Ukraine. We see the human rights violation in Afghanistan. Unfortunately, in Afghanistan, girls are not allowed to go to school. And we also see the human rights abuse in India by BJP party, also in Bangladesh, in Kashmir, in Burma, everywhere. Unfortunately, it's sad. And one of the reasons is because of the hypocrisy mentioned by some of our friends here. When the US government signed a treaty, an agreement with the Taliban in Qatar in 2021, what message it sent to everyone, all totalitarian regimes in the world? It means that human rights and human rights is not an issue, and if it's being violated, it's their internal matter. And it happened, and now we see the situation in Afghanistan. Girls are not allowed to go to school. Women are not allowed to work, and women are being isolated, and their fundamental human rights are taken away from them. It's sad to see the situation happening in Afghanistan and in Bangladesh as well, and all across the world. So I again would like to say thank you, and thank you everyone for coming, and thank you for organizing this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Farid Ghalib. I would now like to call upon Mr. Muhammad Rauf, Director, Arakan Rohingya Development Association. And you know that he is today representing the most persecuted people on earth in the history. Mr. Muhammad Abdul Rauf.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone attending this meeting, and I'm very happy to see all of you from different communities. Today, we are celebrating of 74th anniversary of International Human Rights Day, the day adopted in the UN Assembly 1948. But unfortunately, in most of the world, part of the many countries are still having with the human rights abuses. So I would like to take just 5 minutes in short time and want to brief our Rohingya situation in Burma and Arakan State. So as you are aware of the our situation, since 1942, it was before the independence of Burma, while Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, and Burma all together in one land as a country, and before and in the British rule. So since 1942 till today, our people have been facing genocide abuses, trafficking, and in Arakan State, I will not accept to say Rakhine State. This is politicized. This is purely Arakan State. I would like to state all of you, because many of the people are aware of the Rakhine State, because it is politicized by the military government. The real name is Arakan State. It is our state. At that time, Rakhines were minority. Today, we are minority because we have been deported and kicked out of the Arakan State. And today I am in front of you because I have to leave my country. I couldn't stay in the country. So this is I am one of the, facing a person with genocide. Today I'm in Australia. Like me, many of our people moved to America, Europe, and many parts of the world. So this is because of the genocide. So many of our refugee community are still in Bangladesh, a refugee camp in Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and also many of the people in Pakistan, and also Emirates, and also in Saudi Arabia. So I would like to state the issue of the human rights, because many of the country, even though there are government, many of the minority today are facing the genocide abuses, partially or fully. So on other hand, like Palestine, Kashmiri people, in Burma, Rohingya people, not only Rohingya people in Burma, there are many other ethnics, even Buddhists and Christian and Hindus. It doesn't matter whoever the ethnics, but minorities. Okay, even Burmese people themselves facing in Burma and left the country. So we are united. We need to be united wherever we are, wherever in different parts of the world, in different parts of the country. We need to support for the human right, to be a strong human rights, to keep the Universal Declaration, that to keep value of the Universal Declaration and human rights. We need to respect each and everyone, and we need to keep value every community in Australia, in other parts of the world. So it's not acceptable for the abuses in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, governments are changing time to time, and people are facing today. You see in Pakistan, recently, the Imran Khan, he lost his government. So it's not right way. The other countries are politicizing to, the weak countries and changing the government. It's not only Pakistan. Nowadays, many countries have been faced and still facing to continue So these such abuses, you know, the big power, you know, the abusing to us, the country or weak countries, you know, that we need to respect whoever strong or, you know, the weak countries, we need to respect. We need to give value of the human rights. So I would like to state that we all need to be united to speak out whoever are suffering in any parts of the world or any parts of the country for the human rights issue. We need to speak out. We need to support their voices and keep continue for our fight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Rauf, Director, Arakan Rohingya Development Association. I would now like to call upon Mr. James Supple, Refugee Action Coalition representative. Mr. James Supple.
Thank you. Thanks so much to the organisers for the invitation and for organising this event, and for all the participants and who've gathered, particularly those who've shared their thoughts today. Particularly thanks to our international guests as well for sharing some of their information and thoughts about the struggle for democratic rights in Bangladesh, and the human rights abuses and atrocities that are continuing there. I also think it's very important that Uncle Dave reminded us at the beginning that we do stand on a land where there is a tragic history of human rights abuse as well, of our First Nations peoples, and the injustices and unfortunately are continuing to this very day. Like we see human rights abuses continuing from the Australian government against the Indigenous people of this country, and I think that has to be at the forefront of any discussion about human rights, as it rightly has been so far today. I think that the very important principle I think we all can agree on is one that's already been mentioned, that human rights abuses anywhere should be equally condemned and equally deserve action from the Australian government and from people all around the world. And I think it's absolutely right that the Australian government should not be selectively trying to call out human rights abuses around the world and taking selective action. We need to see action wherever there are these abuses of human rights, wherever democratic rights are being denied and political violence is being used across the world. We shouldn't see human rights as something which is simply a tool of foreign policy, a political tool, a tool that is used to serve the interests of the Australian government. There should be a general principle that human rights everywhere are called out and action is taken on those. And I think that's one very clear message we can come out from today with in terms of redoubling our efforts to act here on human rights and to call for more action from the Australian government. I think it's also worth mentioning that there's an unfortunate ongoing history of human rights abuses from our own government here. And I think in any discussion of human rights, we also have to say that the Australian government doesn't actually have clean hands when it comes to speaking about human rights. And we also need real action at home here as well on some serious issues the Australian government has refused to address, not least in terms of Indigenous peoples. But I'm also very familiar with the Australian government's human rights abuses, its abuse of international and breaches of international conventions with respect to refugees, which is the area that we work in, whether it's discrimination against refugees who've arrived here from Bangladesh and from other nations, by boat, who, through no fault of their own, could only get to Australia by boat and yet are discriminated against by the Australian government when it comes to, their ability to get permanent resettlement in Australia and to have access, to the basic kind of rights that we all deserve and we all should have living in this country, whether it's the people who are on temporary protection visas and chefs at the moment, or people who've been unfairly rejected by the government and denied those rights, because of their mode of arrival. We know as well the Australian government's detention policies have been widely condemned internationally by human rights organisations and United Nations organisations as well. So I think we need a strong human rights movement in Australia to both speak out against the Australian government's actions, but also to call on the Australian government to take much more action internationally. And we know there are still too many cases where the Australian government internationally doesn't actually speak out won't actually talk about human rights abuses, whether, as was mentioned, countries like Israel's human rights abuses, even Indonesia, places like West Papua right on our doorstep where, there are human rights abuses being perpetrated, but it doesn't seem to suit the Australian government's agenda to call those out. Or in countries like Bangladesh, where we've heard so much about today. So there's a lot more the Australian government could do. I think events like today are very important in terms of civil society groups coming together, raising our voices, putting that kind of pressure on the Australian government for more action. So I think it's been fantastic. Everyone's been able to join us today. And I think today is, can take forward the struggle both to shine a light on what's happening in Bangladesh and what we want the Australian government to bring much more action to bear over that crisis and the human rights abuses that are happening there, as well as, in many, many other countries around the world, and not least the problems we also have at home here in Australia. So thanks everyone for coming today. Thanks so much for the organisers, and let's go away from today with our efforts to fight for human rights and build a movement for human rights in Australia redoubled. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. James Sapple. Couldn't agree more with you that we need much more action and work together, put probably much more pressure on government to take action to make the things better. Thank you very much, Mr. James Sapple from Refugee Action Coalition representative. I would now like to call upon Ambassador for Peace and Community Engagement Officer, Islamic Charity Project Association, as well as his also with 92.1 FM radio. You all know about that. And we have two more representatives from 92.1 FM radio, Mr. Hassan and Khalid. Thank you very much. I acknowledge your presence here. May we now call upon Mr. Ziad Al-Daud, Ambassador for Peace.
Well, thank you very much, brother, for introducing me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for inviting me to attend this special event today. I'm not gonna be talking too much. The speakers and the overseas speakers are talking about a lot of things. Thank you for talking about Bangladesh and Kashmir, Sri Lanka, all over the world. And thank you, brothers, who was talking about the Palestinian people. As you introduced me as an ambassador of peace, and I'm coming from the Palestinian background, I would like to remind everyone now when we're talking about Human Rights Day, International Human Rights Day, celebrating this day, for me, when I think about the human rights, straight away it comes to my mind that human rights mean justice. Justice means the humanity. Humanity means peace. But if we're talking about the Palestinian people, if we're talking about Gaza, West Bank, and Jerusalem, and all of that stuff, is the justice has been implemented for the Palestinian people. If we're talking about the children of Gaza, have they got their rights to live as like everyone in the world? Have the families of Palestinian people has been living like in peace, in justice, or they are now distributing all over the world? Every Palestinian family, if you're talking about now, they have their relatives, they have their members of families are distributing over all the world. They do not have like their own land. Their own land has been like taken away. And I heard the Uncle David talking about the Aboriginal people of this land. Now it comes to my mind, Palestinian people has lost their land. So now when we talk about human rights, I would like, and I would love to see like really the international people, international countries are implementing human rights towards the Palestinian people, especially for the children of Palestinian people. I would like to see all of those children that have been growing up like other children in the world, like taking their education, learning, and going everywhere, playing like other people in the world, like feeling the childhood they have been facing, like in Palestine, in Gaza. This is not like found. We cannot find peace in Gaza. we cannot find peace or human rights, real human rights in Palestine. Again, thank you very much for inviting me, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ziad Dawood. I would now like to call upon senior journalist, writer, media analyst, and foreign correspondent for foreign media agencies in Australia, editor, Tribune International, as well as you know that I'm in one of the most renowned person in our community, big event organizer like Chandrant Mela and Halal Expo, Mr. Syed Atiqul Hassan. Mr. Syed Atiqul Hassan.
Thank you, my friends. First of all, I would like to pay respect to the owner of this land, indigenous people. There is a long history of brutality, oppression, autocratic system, sometime directly through army rule, and sometime indirectly on the bring the corrupt politicians created by the army and implement so-called democracy. And I'm talking about Pakistan. This is last 70 years of history of army brutality in Pakistan, unfortunately. And like other countries in South Asia, because army and Pakistan agencies are backed by America and Britain. So there all these illegal activities or the undemocratic activities are hidden from the scene of the world. Now, I won't go in the detail of 70 years. We have a short time, but I just mentioned here, I heard the conditions in Bangladesh, and believe me, the same thing happening in Pakistan. And the creation of Bangladesh was the result of the brutality of the army to the people of Bangladesh. And they wanted freedom, and they took freedom and split from Pakistan. So the former East Pakistan became Bangladesh. But army never stopped. They never stopped because there is an international agenda to further eliminate Pakistan or disintegrate into pieces. And there is a behind history of this, why they want to do this, why they want to take, remove the atomic energy power, nuclear power, sorry, of Pakistan. And that's an international agenda of the big countries. But I come to what's happening nowadays. The army forcibly changed the democratic elected government of Imran Khan, who was in majority in the parliament, and they brought the corrupt politicians who were created and their parties were created by army in the power. The journalists, outspoken, who are bringing the truth on the surface through their television programs, anchors, presenters, writers, they all are tortured, disappearing, people are disappeared, and a few very well-known journalists have been killed. Recently, a very senior investigative journalist, Arshad Sharif, was forced to leave Pakistan. He went to Dubai, UAE, because he had the visa, and then they followed him and they forced him to leave Dubai. He did not have the visa of any other country. He did not want to go outside Pakistan, otherwise he could have a visa for America or some other countries, a well-known person, but he said, I love my country, I wanted to leave here. So anyway, he went to Dubai, and then from there, the agencies, Pakistan agencies followed him and forced him to move from UAE. He didn't have a choice to go in a country where he can get visa on arrival, so he went to Kenya. They followed in Kenya, and with the help of the local target killers, he was brutally killed. And it's a so terrible things happening that this gentleman, educated, well-spoken, he worked he was young fellow around 45, 47 age. He's got children. He professionally worked spent his life for the people. His offense was that he brought all these brutality and torture and killings and all those of the army who were behind the government. Today, so-called government is there, but behind these people, because they are brought by the army is doing all these things, and people, they force people not to talk. My youngest brother was taken by the army, militia. It's called Rangers. 2 days we didn't know where he was. Then he was told that tell your brother who is in Australia, stop writing this because you are here. I brought this in the news and sent to other people outside because I work as a foreign correspondent. So when the news broke out in many newspapers, international newspaper, with reference to that he was my brother, and then after 2 days, he was eventually released. He didn't know where he was because he was blindly folded and took somewhere. And similarly, another my cousin was taken for a few days, and then after he was released and asked him not to talk about anything about us, about army. So this is what's happening in Pakistan. Lastly, I would like to thanks to SAPI, South Asian Policy Initiative, and Global Voice of Humanity. We need to work more closely. It's not happening only in Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or in Myanmar. It's also happening in Pakistan. It's happening in Afghanistan. The whole this region is terribly victimized by these people. So we have to work closer more, and we have to organize these type of events on regular basis and bring these things to the people, create awareness among our people. Many people from other communities, they don't know what's happening in the other community. So we have to get together and have these events, because many things, even being a journalist, I don't know what's happening really inside in Sri Lanka. I know from outside. So these are the things, more awareness is needed, and we need to continue these type of events. And thanks for the organizers organizing this event and provide this opportunity to share our views. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Syed Atiqul Hasan, for your valuable thoughts and valuable input. Yes, definitely we need to work together, as you said, and at the same time, we need your pen. Thank you. Dear ladies and gentlemen, we have present today many political, social, as well as community leaders and human rights activists like Mr. Muslimuddin Arif, Suhail Iqbal. We also have Habibur Rahman, Farooq Hussain, Zakir Alam Lelin, Farid Ahmed, Rahat Shantanu, Munni Chaudhuri Medha, Khairul Kabir Pintu, Abdul Karim, Rashidul Islam, Tawhidul Islam, Muhammad Nasiruddin, Muhammad Bachu, and many more people. I really appreciate your presence. Given the time, we can try to actually share our viewers. I would now like to call upon Mr. Hanif Bismi, editor 5 News Australia, producer of Hanif Bismi Show on YouTube, very popular show, and a strong voice against growing fascism in India and South Asia. Mr. Hanif Bismi.
Thank you, Doctor. So it's my pleasure and to meet all of you. Well organized. I just come from another program. That's why I was late. I was late. Anyway, most of the topics been touched by various speakers, particularly Brother Ziad and the lady from sorry, I don't know your name. I listened to your speech before also, and Brother Zia Ahmed and other everybody. Because when it comes human rights, there's always a double standard. Because the government that is not bowing in front of the big power, then there is a human right in those countries to regime change narrative. That's what happening many countries. You look at the last 40 years of history, most of the Muslim countries been terribly destroyed. Afghanistan was a peaceful country 40 years ago, until the so-called democracy exporters reached there. Same thing in Iraq, same thing in Libya, same thing in Syria last 12 years. And in the name of regime change, destroyed a beautiful country. And now it's happening in Iran. So sanctions and human rights got always double standard. Same thing as Pakistan. Pakistan have a democratically elected government being thrown out, and there was no uprising in the West. So when human rights and sanctions, there's always double standard. So, and through the sanctions, always who suffer? The normal people. In Iraq, millions of children died during 30 years ago under the sanctions. And unfortunately, what's happening in Bangladesh, not the Western world is not knowing or pretend as if there's nothing happening there, because the government work very cooperatively with the superpowers. So when they come to a nation that is stand against the superpower, then there is a human right in that country, sanctions against that country. That's a double standard. That's all I have to say. And anyway, thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Hanif Bismi. We have present with us Mr. Farooq Hussain from CARE Bangladesh, and also a very popular person we have here today with us, Councillor Ibrahim Khalil Masood. We have our community leader, Mr. Manzurul Alam, Bangladesh Refugee Council Australia's President, Mr. Nasir Ahmed. And also I can see right now one of the most senior community leader of our community, Mr. Farooq Ahmed Khan, also arrived with us. I would like to now request Mr. Farooq Ahmed Khan to say a few words on this occasion, please.
Thank you very much. I'm really sorry. I'm not ready to say anything, but but I'm with you guys. I know what's happening around the world in my country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Farooq Ahmed Khan. He is the founder general secretary of Bangladesh National Party Australia, and you know that one of the political party who is now victim and subject to the oppression and repression in Bangladesh. So now I would like to call upon another leader of the same party, Mr. Musleh-Uddin Arif. Mr. Musleh-Uddin Arif, to say a few words.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank Global Voice of Humanity and South Asia Policy Initiative to call and wonderful roundtable discussion today, because today is a special day, 10th of December, Human Rights Day. We are gathering here last few hours. Few most valuable speaker already has been discussed matter of today we stand for. I'd like to thank all community leaders and guest speaker behalf of Bangladesh Nationalist Party Australia to gather here today. As we were, a lot of speaker has been mentioned today. What's the situation being happening in Bangladesh? As we were, Bangladesh Nationalist Party has been arranging lots of gathering every Saturday. Bangladesh Nationalist Party has been successfully gather 9 divisional program. Today is the last one, supposed to happen in Dhaka in front of Bangladesh Nationalist Party office. But unfortunately, Bangladesh has been leading by illegal lady. She is a calling so-called wrong-headed midnight prime minister. Why I call wrong-headed? In 1996, when she was a prime minister, from the judicial system, that means High Court, of the top of the court, Bangladesh declared her as a wrong-headed. Because when she talk, when she acting or whatever she like, is not like attitude normally. But I call this is like a autistic system. She got her son, who has been in America, sitting in America. I think he's an American citizen also. I call so-called he also another big autistic. Like autistic people, when they talk, when they act, is not like normal. So this lady also become a prime minister by the police force and other forces area. Is like a so-called is election happening on 10th, but there has been collected already vote before night happened, when another party, all people has been in giving their vote on that day. Because we do in Australia, voting system in here is we can vote any like before 2-3 days or posting or other, but Bangladesh voting system is different. Bangladesh people only given their vote only on that day when they happen. But this party, this lady is like she is scared, and she scared her power because she don't want to lost her power. That's why she has been like forced to their police and other agencies. Okay, collect the vote before night, so there is no election on that day. So that is today. On my last word, we should request Australian government or so-called Europe and America, whole the world, give sanction to the whole the ministry, not only for one side, not for like a RAV or any sanction. Whole ministry is illegal because she is the illegal prime minister. So we should raise our voice today to give sanction to the whole ministry and this against Sheikh Hasina. Then Bangladesh people will be happy, and they can be in the future when the election, people can vote safely and
Thank you.
safely and should I do it? My last word on today. So we will also from today, we demand immediate release our Begum Khaleda Zia, opposition lady. We should request immediate release party General Secretary Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir. He is a gentleman. He is a nice and gentleman. Today, we only 2 requests and demand immediate release Begum Khaleda Zia and Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Muslahuddin Arif. We can feel the situation that's happening in Bangladesh, and we can see and we can get the touch and feeling from Mr. Muslahuddin Arif, who is from that particular party, who is subject to the oppression now. May I request all of the speakers from Bangladeshi community that Dr. Mahmudur Rahman at the beginning and many other speakers actually explained very well the situation of Bangladesh. So we can share our thought on the particular point that calling for sanction against human rights abusers. Will that work, and how we can actually make it happen, put in place? So we want to listen to you, and we want to get your thought on that particular point, because the situation have been explained by the previous speakers well. I would now like to call upon Mr. Sohail Iqbal Zia Forum of Australia. Thank you, Mr. Sohail Iqbal.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today is the International Human Rights Day. I thank SAPI to organize such a program on this occasion. Actually, by this time, we all know the situation of Bangladesh. I request our guests, our senators, now the journalists, the mainstream politicians in Bangladesh to raise their voice against such an autocratic government. So I'll not linger my speech. Thank you, everybody. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sohail Iqbal from Zia Forum. I would like to call upon now another human rights activist, at the same time author and journalist, and also political leader, Mr. Habibur Rahman. Mr. Habibur Rahman, he is the editor of Hak Kotha as well as founder of the I Rights, who has printed all these things. You can see the I Rights sign here. Thank you, Mr. Habibur Rahman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shibli Abdullah. I would like to thank everyone here today. We are here to stand after humanity. We are here to stand after justice. Unfortunately, in my motherland, justice is in the museum. Injustice and oppression sweltering my country. So now I would like to call sanction to this illegal Hasina and her death squad. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Very powerful, short, and quick. May I now call upon another community leader, social and cultural organizer, as well as political leader of our community, Mr. Zakir Alam Lenin, please. Mr. Zakir Alam Lenin.
Thank you. Today is the International Human Rights Day, but it is very unfortunate to mention regarding Bangladesh something on this special day, because Bangladesh not too long ago, just a few years back, we celebrated 50 years of Bangladesh, and it is really mentioned that Bangladesh country itself born for democracy purpose. So unfortunately, after 50 years, we are facing the regime government on our people and activities going all this against the democracy. So especially last one decade, people of Bangladesh, they have losing their constitutional right of voting. They have rights, the human rights, all these activities are totally banned in Bangladesh. So in this forum, I really condemn against this government and appealing to this here to all these organizers and Australian government to raise their voice so we can protect this regime government. And recently, we are observing that when the Bangladesh facing the election years, the activities of the human rights violation are increasing, because 2014 to 2018 we saw this one government the voters turnout only 5 to 10%, and government not to encourage the election in Bangladesh. So in coming year 2024, again the election coming year, and that's why the government try to increase their violence against the political activities. And 2 days before, you know, one of the popular parties and largest political parties, BNP's activities are brutally attacked by the government forces. So this is especially we are requesting to police should be sanctioned under this. Our request, we are requesting to the police of Bangladesh should be under sanction. So that is our request here, that message from our side. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Zakir Alam Lelin. May I now call upon Mr. Farooq Hussain from Care Bangladesh. Mr. Farooq Hussain, thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to say something today. I'll be so brief. Already we heard from all the leaders about the situation of all around the world, especially Bangladesh, as I am from Bangladesh. Just to say that this talking is of course good, but we need the pressure. Today I feel so proud. I am so feeling so powerful, so strong, because to hearing from all the leaders, hearing from all the leaders about all the world, all over the world. So we just not stop here today. We need to continue a cumulative pressure from all the leaders. Then we can see the result. Unless we put the pressure, we can't say anything. We all know everything what's happening all over the world. Abduction, killing, even just one example, I am finishing today. If this meeting happening in Bangladesh today, we can't do it. We can't do it because of the Sheikh Hasina's, all the raw force, all the military, they're just beating. They just completely, they don't let us do this kind of meeting anywhere. Any protest they can't do. We can't do because of their brutality, because of their illegal operations. That's all. So please, my request, we need continuous pressure from all the leaders, like just today. So proudly, today I'm saying, as a Bangladeshi person, please do not stop. We are so bad in situation in Bangladesh, so bad. People can't work, people can't sleep, people can't eat. Please raise your voice accumulatively to save our Bangladesh, to save all the oppressed country all over the world. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Farooq Hussain. Very powerful words, and definitely we need to work together in this particular regard. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to finish our discussion. Just very quick speeches from a couple of people, and then I will go to Mr. Abdullah Yusuf Shamim for concluding remarks. May I now call upon, and it's my pleasure to introduce you, a cultural activist, a singer who is renowned as poet of the people, but he will not be singing today. He is going to share his thoughts with us, Mr. Rahat Shantanu. Mr. Rahat Shantanu.
Human is a very tricky word. In this country, I get to treat as a human, but in my own country, I have no rights whatsoever. Every day, at least hundreds of messages I got from the illegal government's agent. Come to Bangladesh, we'll shove your words in your back. That's what I get message. Even my wife doesn't say that much, I love you every day. The kind of message I get from those government's people. Trust me, I'm a very harmless person. I never even hit anyone. I just sing, I just write, but still, last 6 years, I'm not able to go to my own motherland. That's what it is. I'm not a politician. I never will be. I just write, I just sing for the people, and I will do so because all the artists in Bangladesh, either they're sold to the government and become a puppet, or they're just too scared to do so. So I have nothing to say. I will still do whatever I'm doing at this moment, and I will be till my death. Today is exactly 10 years that I became that activist. Yesterday was my birthday, and exactly 10 years back, the same day, someone just like me in my age got killed in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, and not a single person. And he was a very apolitical person. Just because the government goons thought he might be from that opposition, they stabbed him in front of everyone, right, left, and center, and killed. And then that person, his name was Bishwajit, and he was saying, I'm not a politician, I'm a Hindu, don't kill me. But still, he was stabbed by like anything, and he got killed to death. And since that day, I was a very fun-loving guy. I had no political agenda whatsoever. I was having with my fun with my friends and everything. Since that day, when I saw all my music fraternity, they was quiet. They did not say anything, as if nothing happened. I was like, what rubbish. Are they artists? The artists should speak their mind. The artists should speak their truth. What is truth for the people? They didn't. All the puppets in Bangladesh, I'm the only one at this moment who try to do so, this kind of activities, unfortunately. I wish I could have more friends, more brigades with me to do so. So anyway, thank you so very much. As I said, whatever we want from the, the European, the Australian, the American, whatever, all those nations, it's all those community leaders' job. That's not my job. I will do my job. I will continue to do my job, what I do at best. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rahat Shantanu. He has been singing, writing poems to protect and support human rights. And most importantly, yesterday was his birthday, and he kind of sacrificed his birthday party for the cause of human rights. Happy birthday, Rahat Shantanu. Okay, if we have time, after conclusion, I mean, we will have a listen to his song, one of the song, possibly, because it has been requested by Mr. Zia Ahmed. Last but not least, may I call upon a political leader, social and human rights activist, Ms. Munni Chaudhuri Medha, to say a few words on this occasion.
Thank you so much. I honored here who are invited me here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Global Voice of Humanity. Actually, I am the Munni Chaudhuri who working in Bangladesh as a student political leader. I am suffered. I know how Bangladesh police beat us. I was in jail 7 days, and Bangladesh police hit me in my back. Still, I have this pain. That is 2009. Now in Bangladesh, lots of political violence, lots of general people, civilians are scared about the government, because now the government, they are holding dictatorship, because they're ragging our voting system. They have a parliament member, more than 200 illegal parliament member. They never come by voting system. They just force the people, they just rubber the vote, and they come in the parliament. Now you guys know everybody about Bangladesh. They have an enforcement disappearance, and also they have more than 631 people already. We don't know where they are. Their family also don't know where they are. And Bangladesh government, Bangladesh law force, they are not getting any responsibility about that people. Now we demand, in human rights have to established in Bangladesh. Our party's former Prime Minister Begum Khaleda Zia, she is convicted. That is the illegal conviction for her. She is in the jail, but Bangladesh law and Bangladesh court not helping us to come out, not giving the bail, because she is a very famous political leader in Bangladesh. Now, another thing is, last 2 days before, this is the new story, 2 days before, the police killed our one political activist. And the family also don't know why they killed. And police still never give the postmortem report, the genuine one. Now we demand Bangladesh have to get it back in track, because they have democracy. We have to establish the democratical government there, because people want to give the voting system. They want voting system in Bangladesh. We want to back our voting system. So all of the human rights people who are working for human rights, we just demand, and we have to work together for Bangladesh. We need to stop the political violence in Bangladesh. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Munni Chaudhuri Medha. May I now call upon the Treasurer of South Asian Policy Initiative and Global Voice for Humanity, Dr. Farooq Amin, who has been a researcher at the University of Western Sydney. Dr. Farooq Amin, please.
Thank you, Shibli Bhai, and thanks everyone. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your time that you spent here today we all share this suffering. It's not the story of Bangladesh only. It's in Afghanistan. We have heard about Sri Lanka, the cases in Indonesia, First Nation in the beginning. So we know that it's our shared experience, and now it's our shared endeavor to do something. It's very valuable, and definitely sanction, it's one of the very effective effective equipment, or we can even say it's a weapon to stop those fascist regime, the torturers, the oppressors. So the time we spent here today, I believe it's very valuable, as the senator first said in the beginning that he appreciated the shared experience. And there are people who are from Australia. This is a country right now, we don't know about future, what will happen after 200-300 years, but currently it's a country of democracy and human rights. So the people who are here, they are privileged. Some of them never experienced what we experienced, but still I see many Australians, only because of their conscience, their understanding about humanity, they join with us, they sacrifice, they feel for us. So we should appreciate also that support. I appreciate them personally. I thank you all, and let's hope that we'll continue together for our future endeavors. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Farooq Amin, who has been one of the key organizers of this event. Now it's actually thanking speech time from the executive committee member, Mr. Abdullah Yusuf, editor-in-chief, Suprabhat Sydney, and executive committee member of South Asian Policy Initiative and Global Voice for Humanity. But before the thanking speech, do you like to enjoy a song from Poet of the People? Really? All right. So I go for the song, and then I'll come back to this. Thank you. Mr. Rahat Shantanu, maybe from that side? Yeah, or this side.
All right, so today is one of the biggest procession going on in Bangladesh, Dhaka, my city, my beloved, my first love. So I did a song for today's procession for my city. And one of our elder brother, Lenin Bhai, Sohel Bhai, they have patronized me for that song. So thank you so very much once again. So I'm going to sing that song. I'm going to sing that song, but I need a support from you guys. I want either clap in a like, I don't have any rhythm on music. So I want, can you do this? Or clap. রক্তের শিরায় মুক্তির দামামা আন্দোলনেই মুক্তি we revolt জিয়ার কণ্ঠস্বর জিয়া আমাদের শক্তি রক্তের শিরায় মুক্তির দামামা আন্দোলনেই মুক্তি we revolt জিয়ার কণ্ঠস্বর জিয়া আমাদের শক্তি স্বৈরাচারীর পতন ঘটাবো কাটবো ফ্যাসিস্টের পাখা বাংলাদেশীদের সময় এসেছে দানবের চোখে চোখ রাখা এবার চলো ঢাকা এবার চলো ঢাকা হবে দ্রোহের রাজপথে দেখা এবার চলো ঢাকা টেক ব্যাক বাংলাদেশ এবার চলো ঢাকা হবে বিজয়ের ইতিহাস লেখা এবার চলো ঢাকা থ্যাংক ইউ
Thank you very much, Mr. Rahat Shantanu. At the age when we see people write and sing romantic song, he chose to sing a different type of romantic song. It's a romantic song with a love and passion for the people, for the oppressed people. Please give a round of applause for Rahat Shantanu. Thank you. Now, the concluding speech from Mr. Abdullah Yusuf.
Thank you very much, Brother Shibli Abdullah, to organize such a excellent program tonight. And Senator David Shobridge already left, and so many others, dignitaries. And today's all my friends, colleagues, and human rights organization leaders and newspaper editors. and also different communities leaders. Thank you very much for coming and join. Just before I go, I want to mention a couple of things like Human Rights Day today, International Human Rights Day. Not only Bangladesh, not only India, not only Pakistan, but so many other countries also. If you see Palestine, what happened in Palestine in long history. If you see Syria, long history of human rights violation, and also so many other countries. India, one of the topmost human rights violation in the world. You see what happening every day. And not only that, Afghanistan, we know, but we need to work shoulder to shoulder together, brother. We know all here community leaders and who is leading the community media and political leaders. We need to work out together and spend our time together and make such a policy so we can attract the national media in not only Australia, but all over the world, inshallah ta'ala. And again, I would like to thank you from SAPI, Global Voice of Humanity. The brother organized today's program. I know they work very, very hard, especially Brother Shibli already mentioned. And not only that, some brother come from all the way, far away from the media and community organization behind the back. The brothers are working for the technical side. I shouldn't forget, and with the camera, two gentlemen there from the media, Suprabhat Sydney and Human Rights Organization again and again. I would like to thank you very much. And this is not finished. This is not last. This is the preparation session for next achievement. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, for your participation, without which it couldn't be a success. Thank you. There are some refreshment and teas is still available. Please help yourself. And I couldn't thank you more, Mr. Muslimuddin Arif, Mr. Habibur Rahman, Mr. Rahat Shantanu, Dr. Farooq Amin, Mr. Mustafa, Belayt Robin, and Brother Labu, and everybody. Without your help, it couldn't have been done. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And we conclude here with this. Thanks a lot.